Hello everyone. The title of today's episode is Fear Must Die Before Death. And even though we will be taking our greatest conception of death to our greatest conception of fear and putting fear before death, but we also aim to dissolve the notion of fear and, in a sense, debunk or dissolve it through the clarity of our existential knowing. Clarity. For you must live a life without fear. You must live a life with an existential awareness and an openness that allows you not just things. Desire is no longer part of your interpretation. You are an active moment. You are, and you will, in a sense, the way you are will be observed by you in such a way that a lot of errands will be done by the flow. So visualize it, if you were a drop this whole time, falling, thinking that you're going to fall from a leaf. Now they're telling you you're the drop inside a river. You have such great direction. Look at the nature around you. And then also know that even though the river is going towards a waterfall, it is the ocean. It is connected to the ocean. And so Mr.Within aims perhaps that this generation, all the beings hearing this voice now, plant seeds that will amaze our children's children in how much our vision could see beyond itself. Fear enters your life mainly because bodies are irrelevant. What are bodies? Bodies are forms of awareness, where you have an awareness to a form that is present within your moment of experience. Whether it's a physical body, whether it's you moving your hands or shaking it on the dance floor, whether it's the benches and perhaps Nikola Tesla's home when he was feeding the pigeons. You can see that it's you have an awareness to space, distance, and objectivity. But at the same time, it seems, based on your experience, you should grant how much this is clear to you, that simultaneously there is an awareness of thought to all objectivity. And as there is an awareness to thought, there is simultaneously an awareness that thought is aware of objectivity at the same time. And when you begin to see this, your self-talk dissipates, for you're aware of this other platform. It's as if you were climbing the ladder, but you weren't fully there, and you were trying to move, and you're like, wait a minute, it feels shaky, but my hands are here, So, of course, you got to climb fully up the ladder, and someone's helping you up, which is your whole world, which is all life, which is the cosmos, which is you, the same you in the universe. Now, when we look at the concept of death, let's see that when fear is being suggested that it needs to be confronted, why is there an importance? Why should you try to see what you fear? Well, on some level, if you go sit down in nature and be still and silent and just observe, you kind of see that fear is an idea which is being given life based on where the attention of the moment is. So in actuality, when you study the nature of how your life is this existential attention, this sphere of knowing that you are right now, wherever you're sitting and hearing this talk, you see what is present is a knowing of an observance of how you're aware beyond thought, because you're aware of the thought that is aware of objectivity self-reflectively. So thought is self-reflectively aware. What that means is this world of form is kept by a subtlety and choice to be individual. Your design is also a choice. The way every molecule, every part is particular to you, is based on how you have designed it, but in a very subtle existential way, how you have accepted form to even become present in your awareness. Because trust me, if you do not have the allowance, you will see this world will not bring that intensity of darkness to a being. It is based on the sincerity and how much you know yourself, because in knowing yourself, only you can give yourself and find the strength within your memory, within your greatest self-remembrance, that you are beyond these ideas that are judging you and making you feel like you can't do something. You are a temporal being. You're here for a certain amount of time physically. This physicality must be experienced fully. And so a lot of ideas are covering this. There's too many people Googling stuff before actually going and doing it. You know, how much do you want to look at skydiving wallpapers on Google Images, or do you want to go skydiving? Trust me, that's why there are skydivers. You know, that's why there are skydiving instructors, to allow an experience to continue. Because that moment when back in the day candles were made and people knew that if they had a lighter they could help someone light it up, even though their lighters were probably fucking stones, you know, being sparked like crazy, or other methods, you'd begin to see, once a candle can be lit, you understand that also knowledge and vision can be shared and communicated, and man's illumination, just like how that candle waxes, the wax is the physical body and the illumination of the candle is its consciousness, similarly for man, all this physicality is the candle wax, but it is present in the consciousness which is emanating. So what that means is, without the light being lit on the candle cannot even see itself because the room is dark. So once the candle is lit, once you realize consciously what you are as present life experience, then you are beyond definition. You were untouched. You were never bullied even by conception. As consciousness moves beyond stories, it no longer seeks victory or a response to losing. There is no longer a dynamic of a survival of the fittest chaining the subtler planes of this developed self-aware being. You know, our decisions have integratively brought man to where our eyes are now. Before we read history books, we must be aware of the history we are making now, your life. And it's very important. I find many beings who are in the cities to be very brave, because they are choosing to put themselves in systems that will treat them differently, but at the same time, it has an influence on the being. And what that means is, once a leader is born in a free world, he can never die in an unfree world. And this sense of he is beyond just the human form or beyond man or woman. It is the beauty that is the divinity of the attention of the God and Goddess that are the presence of awareness within your moment. You shall open your eyes, not in the eyes of every memory you're aware of right now to perceive, but you will also open your eyes to how when you closed it, you were opened it to something greater. Trust me, when man is blinking, I think that's intense multidimensional travel. Oh man. We need to be self-aware, and self-awareness dissolves fear, because fear no longer needs to be a hindering conception. Your free will is beyond a certain body of choice. It is the awareness to the body that can even allow the choice to be real. And you will see, for once you confront death before even fear, conceptually, fear has eliminated, for all fear is based on how this biological form is having an experience in a certain space-time playground. As it's walking to the grave, as it's walking to its transition, And we should no longer have graves, actually. We should call them portals. Very interesting idea, no? Now, simplicity dissolves the complexity of the outcome of how you may fade. Fear is an understanding beyond space and time because it is giving you that understanding the minute you confront it. What that means is that when I was very young, when something disturbed me, I would just go in my room, turn off the lights, and just lie in my bed and just wonder, right? And little did I know later on, that's kind of something that was pointing to a meditative kind of view. But I noticed that I would go in that room and I would just stand there and be just dissatisfied and upset and perturbed, and I'd just be there and I'd wonder why is life happening this way when my understanding of it is much gentler. And at the end of it, I realized that self-talk is just self-talk and words are just words, and at the end it's just like I just got hungry and I just left my room. Do you see? It's as if it shifts, so it is not for certain. So be playful, and then there will be existential knowledge, and there will no longer be fear, because fear has died. To itself. It has, that concept has, in a sense, just like how in ancient Persian literature, poetic literature, they said there was an archer who took a bow to this other person, and the way he shot that bow, it was as if that person was not even conceived, as if he had never been in conception. So similarly, we're taking that same bow, that same mystical bow, and we are taking it to fear by confronting all ideology that is suggesting that limitation is an external phenomenon. Limitation is what you have projected in the limitless awareness to be aware of any modality of reality. Because I'm pretty sure when one child becomes aware of his eyes, he wonders how all the other children are seeing. When one man awakens, so does mankind. And in that kindness, the novelty of the moment will be the only judge, and communication will be the granting of freedom. Without domination of an idea. And you will see that you want not to think about death as in, gosh, oh my God, I'm going to die or whatever, but to acknowledge life as something in which your life is communicating it. What that means is right now you are alive, so pay attention to this life. Be self-aware. And as you are self-aware, you will then begin to see that death cannot just be death, because this life is aware of life beyond space and time. And so the transcendental walk begins to never end, because a drop has found itself within the ocean, and the ocean has found itself in a drop. Beautiful poetic imagery suggested by many sages and fishermen. This life is valuable. Fear is a relationship you're having with your moment, and the moment is aware of itself beyond relationships. And as you trust that which is the origination of your awareness, that which even opened its eyes in the morning, you will begin to trust and have a deeper observance and understanding of others through their being. So what that means is, when they perhaps said namaste, they were saying, there was a bridge between the God that is within me and the God that is within you in the moment. Because God was an idea suggesting omniscience, and when man thought about omniscience, he had direct experience only. And so that moment when the seeker was seeking meaning through form, he begins to see it was all about how much he allowed himself to have a capacity to trust everything in an instant. For transcendental wisdom cannot even be introduced unless you are aware of your being with the fulfillment of all that is present in your moment of being. This can't be emphasized enough. And in the grace of a breath that is just here. May we, with the blessing of Thich Nhat Hanh, remember that it is now time to smile, breathe, and go slowly with the ability of absolute experience by your side. Much blessings.